Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Nurtured by Nature podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined in conversation by the amazing Anaiya from Les Contes in the French Pyrenees. During this beautiful, heartfelt conversation, we discuss the courage we are all being called to bring forth to navigate the challenges of our times, and how the wisdom held in the land and handed down through myth, fairy tale, and the archetype of the shepherdess can offer us comfort by reminding us all of the cyclic nature of the natural world. We meander through the landscapes that have inspired Anaiya's life and explore ways to navigate our fears, whilst quietly honouring those who have suffered for speaking out against the status quo and held the responsibility for lighting a path for others to follow. We give thanks to the trees for their sacrifice and are reminded how little Percy and our animal companions can bring us immense joy as we travel our journeys in this life. Well, welcome Anaiya, and thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of the Nurtured by Nature podcast. I'm really excited and looking forward to our conversation today. I just tend to start off with my guests by asking them to share a little bit about what nature means to them and their nature story, and perhaps how your connection to nature might have evolved during your life. Just anything really about what nature means to you. So I don't know if there's something you'd like to share to start us off.
Well, hello there, Fiona, and thank you for inviting me on. The first thing that comes to mind is being taken to Avebury,
Okay,
Stone Circle, probably about November time. I must have been about 7 or 8 with my mum, because my dad was a bus driver. So he would drop me and mum off at Avebury as he journeyed on and leave us there for a couple of hours and pick us up and bring us home.
Amazing, how lovely.
And I remember walking around hand in hand with mum, and the mist was low and everything was just a various shade of grey.
Yeah.
and the stones would just like loom in front of you, and it was such an electrifying atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I think it was at that point nature and my imagination met,
Oh, wow.
and that sort of created atmosphere. And I thought, oh, okay, nature doesn't have to be like boring walks with mum and dad, because you remember at that point I'm a child and the last thing I want to do is go for a walk. I realized, oh, hang on a minute, this is a backdrop for a huge imagination. So that was my gateway into my nature, I suppose, rather than mum and dad's version of it.
Yeah, I think that's what's beautiful about nature, is it means different things to different people, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about it. There's so many gateways into it, and like yours was this sort of very typical sort of winter or autumny winter UK day. But I think probably the site that you were at is just very special for its historical and cultural history, isn't it? It's all entangled there, so that's the feel of the land. And I think there's so much wisdom in the land, isn't there, if we stop and we connect with it.
Absolutely. Gosh, I was so blessed. I was born and schooled in Newbury in Berkshire. And of course, we're right on the doorway of Wiltshire, which is the stone circles, the crop circles, lots and lots of weird and wonderful people. So every opportunity I could get, I was in Wiltshire, hanging out with this kind of like alternative crowd, staying up all night, hoping to see the latest UFO drop in and make a crop circle. Oh God, it was wonderful. It was such an amazing time.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds incredible. And I think your connection to the land's continued, hasn't it? But you're now over in France, in the
Oh
Pyrenees.
gosh. Yeah. So now it's like nature has, dialed up quite a few notches. Oh my God, this place is amazing. And I think I first came out here 25 years ago, and that's when I knew, when I settled down, there's no question, it's going to be here.
Yeah.
There's something about the Pyrenees, not the Alps, not mountain ranges in general. I went to the Alps, went, yeah, nice. Came to the Pyrenees, and my heart just went, home.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is home. And it's so remote. It's absolutely fabulous. There's no one around for half a year.
Oh, incredible. So you just have nature for company then, really, then, don't you? In all its forms,
Oh,
the elements,
totally.
the weather. Yeah.
And what I love about this part is it's probably the same throughout the entire band of the Pyrenees, but there seems to be a lot of legend, lot of myth, lot of stories and lore in this region, especially when it comes to the fairies, that this is like where the royal fairies and elves live.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I'm just lapping this up, going,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the right place.
Because your that's one of your big things, is your connection with myth and story and legend, and actually the wisdom that is there, that's held in those stories, and how that can help us with our current problems, isn't it,
Oh
really?
gosh, absolutely. And I think I'm getting all of this from dad, because my father was an Irishman, an Irish singer and storyteller.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
I used to love that about him. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
dad, tell us another story. And I think I've just carried it on. There is a lot of healing to be received in those fairy tales. It's archetypical, it's cyclic. We can recognize all the characters in the stories, and they're very, very comforting because they're centuries old. And it sort of shows us, no matter how hard we imagine it to be, there's a story that comes along that mirrors that same intensity. And we go, oh, hang on a minute, this has happened once before, or
Yeah.
twice, or three times.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
There's a few breadcrumbs left on the trail. We know where to go.
And I think right now that's really important for people, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people are finding everything we're facing in the world, and have done over the last 3 years, quite overwhelming,
Oh
both,
gosh. Yeah,
just culturally, as well as the state of nature and the environment, and the constant bombardment with the bad news. And I think
absolutely.
anything that provides us with that sense of hope and reassurance, really, isn't it? That
Yeah. Reassurance that this has happened before. Um, Most likely it will happen again. It's a cycle. But to
Yeah.
us, it feels like many freight trains all colliding together at the same time. Because in our generation, although you seem a lot younger, um, we've never known anything like this.
Yeah.
We grew up in a relatively peaceful time, whereas my grandparents, great grandparents, they all had their trial.
Yeah.
This is our trial. This is our time. This is what we get to experience. And of course, it feels like the first time.
Yeah.
And for us, it is. But
Yeah.
for our ancestors, no, this is a cycle, and it comes round and it passes,
Yeah.
and then it almost disappears, and then it comes back
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. And I think that there's comfort in that, isn't there? And it's not to say that you don't do anything and that action isn't needed, but it's
Yeah.
to say that, there it is possible to take action, and to reconnect with your own innate power as well. I think that's a big thing of the calling at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's time of our awakening. It's time for courage. It's a time for speaking up. So it's a huge benefit to us as well to really awaken and
Yeah.
become who we have to become to get through this, to open our hearts to one another, to help one another through this.
Yeah, and I love the fact that where you are now, you're creating a little animal sanctuary. I think whether it's intended or not, I think the animals are finding you, aren't they?
Definitely. Oh my God. Now these guys are the therapists.
Yeah,
These guys are the healers. I could wake up in the morning feeling pretty low. And all I have to do is go to the goat field, look at this little goat called Percy, who I call the parfait because the parfait are the names of the holy people from this region.
Okay. Oh,
So once
beautiful.
upon a time, about 800 years ago, there was a group here called the Cathars. And the holy ones were called the parfait, which means in French, perfect.
Oh,
So to me, Percy, he's a little parfait.
oh,
He
fantastic.
is the sweetest, most beautiful goat. I just
They
have to look at him.
they just I mean, I haven't had goats myself, but I've had sheep,
Yeah,
and they just have the most incredible personalities. And I think anyone who hasn't perhaps had the blessing of
yeah,
having those type of animals, they're more used to cats and dogs and things, quite often overlook and just think, oh, it's just a sheep or it's just a goat and they're all the same. But they do have the most incredible individual personalities, and they're just lovely to be around, don't they? They have a real,
absolutely.
I suppose it's sort of earthy wisdom, don't they?
Yeah, and they're so playful and they're so curious. And only a week ago, because we're new to goats, and we got 2 bucks in April because we want to breed. We want to breed just to make more of them,
Yeah.
not to sell them, not certainly not for meat, not for milk, just more. And so in come these 2 little bucks, and so I'm quickly learning about bucks and when do they start, doing the rut season. And it says in Google when they're 1 year old. They're 6 months now, and September is rut season. So I woke up a few days ago and went, what is going on in the goat field? And lo and behold, our little 6-month-year-old tiny little boys were trying to rut with the adult females. And I'm flapping around going, guys, you're not meant to be doing this yet. And so I'm looking in front on the side profile going, oh God, it really is happening. Something like that. Okay, how many days? 150. February. Oh my God, we might have babies in February. Oh,
Oh,
it's
fantastic.
very, and what I won't say what they do on the podcast, but it's absolutely obscure and unique behavior. Let's
Oh,
just
but
say they got many ways of creating their pheromones
yeah.
and they wear them with pride.
Yeah. There's perhaps something we could learn from from them.
Love is, I was saying, love is kissing the moist face of a little baby goat who has just scented himself.
Oh, fantastic.
Basically, they pee on their faces,
Oh.
but I don't care. I still kiss them.
Yeah. Oh, they're just good friends, aren't they? They're just,
Yeah,
they lift up our hearts, don't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think you take yours out, don't you? Exploring, they come with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We couldn't. They're so lovable. We take them out every day, about 2 or 3 days, 3 times a day for a good old 2-3 hour walk.
Amazing.
And I couldn't even imagine them being in a pasture.
Yeah.
We go everywhere together. We spend every single day together,
Yeah.
walking, exploring,
I think
climbing.
it's probably from that region as well. That would have been more the sort of historical way of how the
Yeah,
livestock would have been, wouldn't they? They would have been with their sort of shepherd or shepherdess, as it were,
yeah,
and you would have moved through the landscape together and experienced it together, wouldn't you?
yeah, absolutely. Um, that reminds me of a few years ago, I did like a spiritual series, if you like, called The Shepherdess, talking about how there is an energy which acts like a shepherdess that will go out in the middle of a wet, dark night, throwing her overcoat on and her wellies in order to find you. So
Yeah.
I was like speaking these really comforting stories to people listening at the time of the beginning of our trial. say, you know, the divine is like a shepherdess.
Yeah.
Even if there's a storm raging, so she'll still throw on her overcoat and go looking for you, not realizing years later I would actually become that shepherdess and am often in the field at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning with my little flashlight.
Yeah, it's a beautiful symbol though of like obviously literally for you with your goats, but also for what you do for people as well, that you provide that sort of shepherding guidance and protection.
Yeah, I've always, again, I put it down to my dad. I've always been that way. I have always stood up for the underdog.
Yeah.
I cannot stand bullies, visible bullies, invisible bullies. And in Irish, you know, you'd classically say, oh, mind yourself, Fiona, you know, mind yourself. And there's a great homage placed on people and places, both seen and unseen, that will in fact mind you. They will in fact
Yeah.
put you under their wing and make sure you get across to the other side. That's really deep in Irish mythology. And it made an impression on me. And I've
Yeah.
sort of become that person.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't do much. It's not as if I do much, but
it's the
there's a
intention though, isn't it?
presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a presence that says you are safeguarded here.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the animals. They are safeguarded here.
Yeah. And they know,
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
they?
totally. Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's I mean, talk about safeguarding, and I think that's something that we're all struggling with at the moment, isn't it? Is this feeling
Mm,
of unsafeness
yeah.
and insecurity. And I think for me, that's part of the beauty of nature, is that it provides this place where you do get that sense of more security and safe and protection and minding,
Yeah.
um, and just how I think that's important to us more and more, isn't it? Just having these places where we can try and reconnect to ourselves in this busy, busy world that we're in.
Yeah. I've noticed since being here that if I venture too far from this place, let's just say I go into Toulouse, mm, you know, the old anxiety levels start to go up a lot.
Yeah,
And I feel by being here, I've slowly, slowly, slowly peeled open. I didn't realize how anxious and how many layers I must have been wearing in order to get from A to B in London.
yeah,
And now that I'm here, all of that has fallen away and is continuing to fall away. But of course, when I go back to the city, I'm a flipping nervous wreck. I just can't wait to get home again.
yeah. No, I completely. My partner used to live in London, and I used to go and visit him, and I'd be all excited, obviously going off to visit him. By the time I
Yeah.
sort of navigated through London, I'd sort of get there, and I'd be like in a sort of a heap. But I'd be like,
Yeah,
I need to sleep for a week. I'll be exhausted. I've just,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. It's just, I think I don't know what it is. What is it? The busyness, or just the sort of bombarding?
Bombardment, noise,
Yeah,
and movement and change. You know, a sea of faces coming towards
yeah,
you.
yeah,
And
and
that's probably why we don't really connect.
yeah,
Because there's just like, oh, there's so many people to connect with. But when it's one on one or two or three on one, we can
yeah.
actually take some time to get to know this person and listen to them and feel for them and sense them.
You just let out an auditory breath there, and I just thought, breathe, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like you don't have that space, do you? There's not enough time,
no,
to really sort of, exhale and inhale, and you're just constant in this sort of upper anxiety level. And when you
yeah,
do find these beautiful places in nature, and whether that's, actually, I mean, for you, like you say, the Pyrenees, it's the whole environment. It's not just necessarily the animals or the trees, but just this whole energy of
Yeah.
the land just speaks to you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's people say the Pyrenees is full of wisdom. That wisdom keepers, cults and tribes throughout our past have always sort of pilgrimaged their way to this region and left behind their wisdom for this time.
Yeah.
And it's how to get through
Yeah.
this crisis that we're getting through and how it has been done before. And I feel just by walking around, even better with no shoes on,
Yeah.
because it's in the land.
Yeah.
You don't want anything like a leather sole or something getting in between. Just to walk around barefoot and just be open to listen, to stop, to pause, to breathe. And, our old ancestors will start talking to us. And there is, even if we can't articulate to another person what we've just received, we've still received it. It's
Yeah.
still there informing on our next set of decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is it, some people find that what's the like woo woo, don't they? They don't
I
understand. But then
Yeah,
I think, it's, if we called it intuition or even inspiration even,
yeah.
that's the
Instinct,
yeah, it's
inspiration, intuition, all the I words.
yeah, it's and where does inspiration come from? I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like
Yes.
you're walking along and you basically have this inspiration, and obviously for you, it's, that you're tapping into the wisdom of the land. For other people who might not be quite so connected yet, they might just have this inspired thought, and that's what they need to look out for,
Yeah.
isn't it? And listen to those moments of inspiration and what
Yeah.
it's telling them.
We have a lot of caves around here, and I often take people to caves just for a few hours, or if they're feeling super brave, a night in the cave. And that is a game changer.
Wow.
There's not one drop of Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's just nothing there. There's nothing coming in. And I like to take them right at the back through a few little creep holes where it is just pure blackness. Black, warm silence.
Yeah, in the earth.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Which is great. You go there, it's like, wow, amazing, amazing. Then it gets really, really still and quiet. And then the fears come. So I said to them, it's going to come. It's going to be like a tsunami. You're going to be thinking about getting stuck. You're going to be thinking about suffocating. You're going to be thinking about a tidal wave of water coming in and drowning you.
Yeah.
These are the big ones
Yeah.
that are constantly running in the back of the head, always. But if you can just ride it out, should only take about 15 minutes, it will break into, and my language might be, and reuniting with your true mother,
Yeah.
the womb of the world. This is where we come from, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. All these materials that we're brushing our hands against, we're made of the same stuff. And this awful feeling of separation will dissolve, and you will realize you are one with this cave.
Yeah.
But first, you got about 15 solid minutes of acute fears.
I think I mean, that almost, it makes me think of what we were talking about earlier about how we struggle in the cities and things, because and that constant busyness allows us to not face those
Yeah,
moments, doesn't it?
yeah,
It
yeah,
basically, we can keep those fears under control and out of
Yeah.
sight because we're too busy to look at them. They, sit back there on the shelf that we
Yeah.
don't have to worry about them. And I think it does, you mentioned the word earlier, courage. And I think in this time, that's one of the things that we are all being told that we need to rediscover within ourselves, don't we? Is this
Yeah.
courage. And by sitting in moments like that,
Yes.
we can realize that actually we are more than we realize we are. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, sometimes we might think courage means like warrior. We're ready to go out with our weaponry and stand on the battleground. That's one form of courage. But, just like the other one, the willingness to just sit right in the center of that fear storm in the back of a dark cave and say, I'm committed to do this. I'm going to stay. Me and my breath are going to stay. She said 15 minutes. The least I could do is 15 minutes. I'm going to stay in this really uncomfortable, intense place because I believe I'm able to.
yeah,
You start to have a bit of courage in yourself. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to be a coward. Again, we're all cowards.
yeah,
Not pointing the fingers at anyone being a coward. We are all cowards, especially when it comes to speaking out, I feel. And this
yeah,
maybe, very soft, maybe a little bit more for the females. The power of our voice, and dare we say something? Because that's been my theme.
yeah. And
Especially if I've seen cruelty to animals. If I see someone kick a dog underneath the table in the cafe, I am so fed up with myself who doesn't do anything.
yeah,
I see it, I feel sick, I turn away. And then I feel ashamed because I haven't said anything. Thanks to menopause, you can guarantee that I will stand up and I will walk straight over
yeah.
to that man or woman and I will say something.
The lioness has been unleashed. Yeah.
It
I
was
think,
menopause that did that.
yeah, it's I think there's more and more talk and appreciation of this, the archetype of the older woman, isn't it? It was, there was a lot, you were sort of
Yeah.
washed up before, wasn't it? Society was like, oh, that's it, you're over the hill.
Yeah.
And there's more and more realization that actually your power is only just beginning.
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's one of the things that gives me hope, is there is this need for the feminine voice in society, and there is this rising wave of women like yourself who are like actually being unleashed into standing in their power and who they are,
Yeah.
unashamedly. And I think
Yeah.
that history has been harsh to the feminine voice, hasn't it? And the feminine
Yes.
energy, and we have been chastised and silenced and lost our voice. And I think that's, like you said, that's been a lot of your service to the world over the years, hasn't it? Has been trying to support people to
Definitely.
bring that forward.
Definitely. And, maybe, being one of many shouldering this opening for the feminine. It's also very sad and very scary because when you do find your voice, yes, brilliant and thrilling, and it's like, yay, finally, I'm standing up for that which I know I must stand up for. But by golly, you can lose a lot of sort of I'm going to say male friends along the way. The other fellow women kind of go, yay, you found your voice. Chaps in general have kind of gone,
We're not used to this,
I
hang
don't
on.
like you anymore. You're very outspoken, you're very direct, you
Yeah,
upset people, you're
you should
making
be
a scene.
what's the word, demure, like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
serene, peaceful,
yeah,
demure, charming, graceful,
yeah.
polite, well-mannered. So I just want to speak to those of us who have spoken up and spoken out and have got a lot of flack maybe from partners, maybe from dads, maybe from brothers. And just to say, I'm just going to mind you for a moment. You're going to sling an arm around your shoulders and say, I understand it hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I am sure they are going next. They will be the ones to find their authentic voice and to realize that what we did was courageous and brave. Yes, it caused a scene. Yes, it kicked the apple cart, but by golly, that apple cart had to be kicked.
Yeah.
But I do want to sort of honor that in-between stage where you get a lot of judgment, a lot of opinions coming your way, because it's paradigm changing.
Yeah.
You're going against the status quo.
Yeah. And it's very hard, and that's where that courage comes back in as well, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like, I'm going to sit here and just do this, knowing that a load of tomatoes and rotten eggs is going to come my way. But I must,
Yeah.
because that dog has just got kicked under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must.
Yeah. And I think for me, I mean, animals are a huge part of my life, and I think that's sort of, for a lot of people, their initial nature experience is often related to the wild folk, isn't it? Whether that's birds or animals, and they're the bits that sort of are quite bright and shiny and captivate us, and we can relate to a little bit more, I think, because they have more similarities to us. They move about and they form relationships, and there is a lot of people that are quite passionately outspoken about protecting the animal folk, aren't they? And they are often, like you say, just judged quite harshly, and it is very hard, and they have beautiful hearts, and they connect with the world in a very different way, and to honor them for the courage that they have shown.
Absolutely. One of the classic lines are, it's just a dog,
Yeah.
it's just a goat.
Yeah.
What do you mean by just?
Yeah. I know. It's awful, isn't it? Like, if you lose one as well, you talk, and people just say, oh, it's just I mean, I had a lovely Jack Russell that I'd had for like 17 years, and you have a being in your life for that amount of time. They're not just anything.
No, that's right.
They're constant companion, and
this thing that happened, I think it was a few days ago, the sycamore tree, in Hadrian's wall. Haven't been there. Mum and dad have. And again, a lot of people, it's just a tree.
Yeah.
Oh God. I need to do some breathing at this point. But when I saw that on the news, it felt pivotal.
Yeah.
It felt like an omen.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a symbolic act. It means something. Now, I haven't contemplated it enough to reach something where I can say blah blah blah. all I know is that meant something.
Yeah.
That has had a huge impact on many of us.
It's kind of
say whether it's a good omen or a bad omen.
I think
all I know is it's an omen.
Yeah, it's almost like a tipping point, hasn't it? It's like this one being has kind of stepped forward to be like, I will be the symbol of so much that's been sort of seen and felt but been hidden, and bring it forward into the greater perception, I suppose, or the perception of a greater amount of people.
It's struck at the heart of something.
It's like it opened up almost a portal, didn't it?
A
vortex
definitely.
of feeling, and struck straight to the heart. I think it's quite interesting. I mean, I remember when Princess Diana died, and that was the same. It was like this collective opening of the heart, wasn't it? Of this stepping into this whole new way of feeling, and it feels a similar thing, doesn't it? It's been this like shockwave that's gone through the collective that we've experienced, and like you say, it's too soon to say how that will sort of lead on, but it's been interesting definitely to see. It has just sent this amazing like shock and ripple through. And I mean, even like news presenters have been sort of on the verge of tears,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah,
it's needed, isn't it? I think it's needed
definitely.
to see people caring so much about a tree
Yeah,
and what that tree represents and what
yeah.
nature does represent to us and why we need it so desperately in our lives.
I think it's, the arty side in me sees, a forest being taken down, and we can watch it and we can witness it and we can feel terrible about it, but we won't say anything. But one tree framed by those two hillsides, and we're we're awake, we're
Yeah,
ready,
yeah,
we're animated by it.
yeah.
To me, it also has a little bit of like a Christ-like flavor to it as well.
Oh, that's
This
interesting.
one
Yeah,
solitary tree,
yeah,
and of course the one who cut it down playing the role of Judas.
yeah,
And is Judas, what's Judas? um yeah, so if it has a Christ-like quality to it, it is destined to be a huge heart opening process,
yeah,
where a level of awakefulness comes because of this, this sacrifice, this loss of one. But it
yeah.
wasn't one, it was
No,
all.
yeah,
Yeah, and we're
yeah. It's
all sort of
the
feeling
symbology
that.
of it, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
yeah. Yes, I think that's what people have been struggling with to sort of understand is this greater symbology, isn't it? It's like there are people that are like, oh, it's just one tree, or why are you just getting it upset about that one tree when you've allowed all of this other
yes,
environmental disaster to come to pass? And it's like actually that tree symbolizes all of the whole
yes, yes,
environmental challenge, doesn't he? He's
yes,
crystallized it all into the consciousness of the collective, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Something very important going on there.
yeah. And time for people to sort of gather their communities as well. I think community is
Yes,
always a huge um thread for a lot of the guests that I have, is
yes,
the importance. And I think that's what you're doing where you are now, aren't you? You're creating this space for a community, both actually physically with you and also sort of energetically at a distance.
absolutely. I mean, if it hasn't already happened, I'm sure it already has. But, to mark the falling of that tree, to have, like a end of life ritual ceremony, to go and visit the site, to
Yeah,
make a pilgrimage, to lay something down, to make an offering, all of this is, yes, it feels overwhelming perhaps to actually go there and to see the tree stump, but there's that courage again
yeah,
to go there knowing you're going to be hurt, you're
yeah,
going to shed some very, very deep tears,
yeah,
but you're going to slip a little note of prayer in that tree trunk nevertheless. And then, as painful as that is, that actually brings you closer
yeah,
to nature, to the tree, and the well wishes of it sprouting again.
yeah, yeah. Being reborn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love hurts
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah, it does. I think
Yeah,
we often have this sort of Disney notion of
yeah,
the
Barbie.
yeah, yeah. And that isn't life, is it? That isn't what this experience on this journey is about.
No,
It's about finding strength and growth and the courage to grow and move
yeah,
on and through things.
yeah. We have a lot of forests around here, and they're not too far from here. There's about, I don't know, I haven't counted, looks like 80 fallen tree trunks. And I go there most days, don't want to, but I go there most days and I tell the tree trunks just how beautiful they are, just how incredible they smell. It's what's the word? It's it's plantation. So they
Okay. Yeah.
were planted to be fallen, but
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
I tell them how beautiful they are, how amazing they smell, how much shelter they gave, how much habitat they offered, how they will be, transmuted into something else now. And I cry and I'm sad, but I do
Yeah.
it anyway.
Yeah.
I can't ignore them. I can't go, oh, bunch of fallen trees on the side of the road, ready for pickup.
Yeah.
I have to go and pay
Yeah.
homage. It's to me, it's like a pile of dead bodies.
Yeah.
But to go there in angst of this forestry industry, or to go there as a human with her heart, with her courage, reminding the tree that it's been seen, and by golly, its lifespan gave us so much,
Yeah.
and its death will give
Yeah.
us so much, and it will be born again.
Yeah. That's absolutely that's absolutely beautiful. And I really it I think there is this sort of, you talked of fears earlier in the cave, and there's there is still this harboring fear of death, isn't there, in society? We
Yes,
turn away from it, and we don't know, we can't cope with it, we don't know how to cope with it. And I think it's harder when it's something you care about as well. And in
yeah,
whether that's nature or people, or relations and loved ones are of all beings.
yes,
And finding that courage to go and we, like you said about the sycamore tree, honoring the
mm,
passing, to stand in some sort of ceremony to you, or
yeah,
yeah, just I think that's an important element of what nature gives us as well, doesn't it? Is that quite
yes,
often the life cycles within nature are different to our own human ones. So quite often we are forced to confront death and dying and passing and the completion of a cycle
yes,
in a
yes,
different way.
yes. Sometimes if I'm having a friendly moment with death, I will imagine, I don't want to be buried.
No,
I want to just, melt down on the land.
yeah.
That probably won't happen. Someone will come along and go, oh, she needs to be cremated. But, in my imagination, I imagine I'm just like another animal. I get an instinct that my time is coming, got a little bit of energy left. So I go to the forest and I lay down, and it's going to be cold for a while. And then I slip away,
Yeah,
and then I decompose into the very thing I love the most, the
yeah,
forest floor.
yeah,
And, a couple of years later, sun will be falling on my dust.
yeah.
And lo and behold, a little mushroom will appear, or a few blades of grass, or a forest fern.
Yeah,
Can't think of anything better. I don't want the human, funeral industry to
yeah,
interfere. I
yeah,
just want to lay down.
and that kind of trying to like preserve as well, isn't it?
Yeah, make it dignified in some way. Why
Yeah,
can't we just be like Vikings?
yeah,
Make a bonfire,
yeah,
put the corpse on top, everybody bear witness to the burning
yeah,
of the body, in celebration, in tears, in poetry, in song, in dance. And then in
yeah,
the morning, nothing left.
yeah.
Ash.
Return to where we came.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, there is a beautiful cycle in nature, isn't there, of how it deals with death and decomposition, and it's just an accepted part of it. It's a needed part of it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I like the stories of the aftermath of Chernobyl. So that was a terrible, terrible moment.
yeah,
And of course, everything was devastated. And from what I understand now, nature is back. And not only is it back, it's back in a stronger way. In fact, it's
Yeah.
thriving.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
No,
thriving around the outskirts of that disaster.
it's nature is incredible like that, isn't it? I think there's this
Yes.
resilience which we don't give it credit for.
No.
And we don't understand, we've lost connection to ourselves. And if you do give it the space, it can
Yes.
thrive
Yes.
even better than before.
Yes. I watched a documentary about a month ago called Fantastic Fungi.
Oh, they're
And
incredible.
oh my goodness, yeah, those little mushrooms take
There's-
care of so much
I think this
and
is,
can
I mean,
overcome everything.
there's so much, isn't there, that we're just, I don't want to say learning, I think we're relearning, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're remembering.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's what you were saying about walking in the land, and also when you were talking about the trees that have been felled, is
Mm.
talking to the land as well, like listening and communicating yourself,
Yes.
putting yourself back into the landscape, becoming a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, that's just, I mean, for me, that's a beautiful spiritual experience and offering, isn't it, in its most sort of purest form.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a lady here at the moment. She's doing 40 days in the forest in silence.
Wow.
And she's only in a hammock, so she doesn't even have a tent.
Wow.
And she finishes very soon, in a few days' time, actually. But like, wow,
Yeah.
40 days
Wow.
by
Yeah.
herself.
Wow.
So she's from England. Autumn came quickly. So she started in the summer.
Yeah.
Autumn came quickly. There was a few cold spells, few thunderstorms. And I'm often thinking about like, how's she doing? How's she doing? 40 days in silence by herself.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
No supermarkets. People are dropping food off to her.
Yeah.
And she's, cooking away on her little Bunsen burner, the
Yeah.
camping gas.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know where she is.
Yeah.
She came to the house as a guest, but then decided in the moment, I've got to do 40 days in silence.
Yeah.
Will
Needed.
you permit me to sit on your land for 40 days? God, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wow. That's the beauty though, isn't it? And I think sometimes for some of us it's hard to find the space to do that, but
Yeah.
actually there are ways that you can do that to a lesser degree, and sort of start, just like you said, just if you can walk even in your garden, isn't it? Wherever you are, just get
Yes.
barefoot and
Yes.
just breathe and reconnect with the land and listen.
Yes.
And then another thing that you guys do a lot, you talked about dropping her food, but you grow your own food as well, don't you? That's been a big part of your
Yeah,
journey
absolutely.
there.
Yes, we have this local guy now called Johan, and he's what I call a barefoot gardener. So he consults the land before he does anything.
Oh, amazing.
I went off to Ireland, and of course, I saw the triple spiral. So that's a very ancient Celtic symbol and
Yeah.
very noticeable at places like Hill of Tara and Newgrange. So I came back and I said to Johan, we need to carve a triple spiral into the craggy rocks around the spring. We've got a spring, which is
Yeah.
an amazing blessing.
Yeah.
And I thought he'd go, yeah, brilliant idea. And he said, we'll see. We'll ask her what she thinks. And I went, oh, right, yes. Anyway, it didn't go up. Because maybe Celtic things belong in Celtic places.
Yeah.
And this is not what the nature wants here.
Yeah. It's got its own symbols to share. Yeah.
The rock is covered in symbols
Yeah.
made by nature.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
need us to come along and start chiseling something out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's beauty. I love that. That seems really simple, but it's actually quite profound, isn't it? About
Yeah.
asking permission and
Yes.
honoring the spirits of the land and the beings and the area where you find yourself, rather than just simply stepping in and
Yeah.
imposing your will.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I don't know, let's call them sacred sites here. Um, and when I first moved in, everyone expected me to sort of bulldoze my way in and start, getting these sacred sites operational or something like that. I don't know. But I didn't.
Yeah.
I would just sort of creep quietly to where I sensed the energy change. And I'd just sit there and I'd just say, hello, I'm the new custodian of this place for a while.
Yeah.
And I had too much reverence and also no understanding of what they were. So I didn't do anything but just merge,
Yeah.
with the life that was there. And still to this day, I'm very low key. I just let these hotspots, portals, whatever, just get on with it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go in and program them,
Yeah.
as people are expecting me to do. I just keep them clean,
Yeah.
clean and clear.
Yeah. Respectful and
Yes.
yeah.
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 Every single day, I'll make my way to these places and just clear away the leaves or,
Yeah. Greet them almost.
yeah, greeting. The only
Yeah.
thing I do is I put a bit of oil. So I'm a real, I love oils,
Yeah.
sacred oils and fragrances. So I just anoint, perhaps with a bit of myrrh, bit of frankincense, bit of rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's respecting as well, isn't it? It's
Yes.
your way of offering and showing respect and
Yeah.
acknowledgement, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so important, I think, isn't it? Is I think we have to be careful at this time, don't we, where we're so desperate to help the natural world that we need to find a way through our desperation to also tread lightly and
Yes.
yeah, listen like your gardener, listen
Yes.
and honor what it's asking for, rather than just imposing our own view and wisdom and
Exactly.
ideas. Yeah.
That's why I'm hesitant. I know I could go in there and envision a future,
Yeah.
but truthfully, I don't have enough wisdom to know what that is.
Yeah.
The true way might be a complete breakdown for all,
Yeah.
to be reborn. Or do I just go, oh, let's just make all this stop now?
Yeah.
That might not be the right way. So I'm just sitting back and waiting for what I sense is real wisdom.
Yeah.
And then I may or may not envision. I mean, I do envisioning. I
Yeah.
envision that this place is a sanctuary, is peaceful, offers healing and comfort. But that's about as far as I go because I don't know what is true. What is more true than that?
Yeah.
So I just keep it in the middle.
Yeah. Well, it's about, and I think that's what you see in nature, isn't it? Is this humble quality of,
Mm.
it's not forcing so much, is it?
No, no.
Obviously, I mean, there are elements at play when, Mother Nature sends a big storm. There's plenty of force in that,
Yes,
isn't there? But
yes,
there's yeah, there's just this quiet, it's a quieter energy, isn't it? It's
yeah,
just a reverence and a respect and a trying to find, I suppose, and remember our place
yeah,
in the natural world. And you can't do that by jumping in sort of guns blazing. You've got
no,
to sit and listen and be quiet and hear
yeah.
the answer.
We get some terrific thunderstorms about every 10 days through the valley. And I love it. And I'm sure many of us do when it seems extra powerful because, my hairs prickle This shudder goes through me, and I sort of back away, and I get small, but not small enough to stop looking.
Yeah.
When you hear and feel the power of a storm, you soon realize just how teeny you are. Not insignificant,
No.
just incredibly small, incredibly vulnerable, and
Just a,
incredibly at her mercy.
yeah.
And I like it. I
Yeah.
like feeling my place.
Being reminded.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. It comes back to respect again, doesn't it? Respect for nature and her wisdom and her,
Yes,
the cycles that you mentioned as well from your myth and fairy tale, that you know she has been through these cycles before
yes,
and found her way. And yeah, that we need to just be humble, don't we, in
yeah,
our place in this.
yes.
Oh, well, it's been lovely, Anaya, talking to you. I feel like
Oh,
we're sort of getting to the point of a nice place to round up, but I
yeah.
always tend to end by asking my guests if they have any other wisdom or messages on their heart today that they feel that they would like to share with the listeners.
Well, one thing I've been working with is asking myself and others who are present, what are your virtues? Do you have an inner compass? Do you flip it open regularly?
Yeah,
Do you want to head in the good direction? Do you want to do good things? And what virtues do you have that support that? And so I sort of asked myself the same question. And yes, there's the old fashioned virtues like prudence, temperance, all of that stuff. I can't remember the rest. But of course, there's new ones today like accountability, integrity, vulnerability.
yeah,
And I thought, okay, one of my superpowers is actually patience.
yeah,
I have a lot of patience. In fact, it might not ever run out, might just keep on going. And I have joy.
yeah,
So these are
yeah,
two mighty powers.
yeah.
And I feel that virtues are not only for ourselves, they're acts of service.
Oh, that's
So,
beautiful.
how would I use my joy and my patience as an act of service to more than just me? And again, if you just imagine a little golden compass, flip it open, you should get the answer
Yeah,
just by, if you imagine that your golden compass is on the inside
yeah,
and just use your feelings when you're heading in the right direction.
yeah. Head to your north.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true north. Just
yeah,
go there,
yeah,
keep
oh,
going one little step at a time.
yeah,
And
oh,
virtues, very old fashioned word, might not mean anything to anyone anymore, but perhaps the way we are heading, we might need to pick them back up again
yeah,
as
yeah,
essential items on the path, on the pilgrimage.
yeah. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I love that notion. I like the way that you tied it to perhaps some more modern ideals as well.
Yeah, yeah,
The sort of the desire to for sustainability, to
yes,
tread more lightly on the earth, even, just to leave less of an imprint of where you've been.
yeah,
Yeah. It's and even your love of nature can be a virtue as well, and
yes,
yeah, a
absolutely.
guiding force. So
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. It's been so lovely to talk with you, and we've meandered all over the place
yeah.
today from Wiltshire and Ireland and to the Pyrenees.
Well,
And
I hope you come and meander down here as well.
oh, I would absolutely, yes, I very much hope
Go
hope
and
that
meet
I get
Percy.
to come and meet Percy. I'd love- and get a little, nice moist wet kiss from him.
It's amazing what sticks.
and perhaps Percy's babies as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'll be eagerly watching your sort of social media and newsletters for news of if there's a new generation of Percys.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
We'll soon know in a couple of weeks if any
yeah.
of them got pregnant.
And just if anyone else would like to come and visit you or to learn more about you, do you want to just share with people where you are and how they can reach out to you? And I will include the links in the description, but if you'd like to just share with people as well.
Yes. Well, our place is called Les Contes, L-E-S, separate word, C-O-N-T-E-S. And what I love about that, conte in French is story. It
Amazing.
means
How
story,
perfect.
story, tale, or legend. I'm like, what? This is amazing. So our website is lescontes.eu. And from there, you'll meet us all, the animals, me, Pete, Mum lives here too. You know, who we are as a little community and who we are individually as well.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I would definitely encourage everyone to go and have a look, and if you can, to come and visit you. And it's very much high up on my list of places I'd love to go and experience.
Oh, that reminds me, we're also on telly again
Oh, are you?
from October.
Fantastic.
Called Help Me Board a Village, and this is season 2.
Oh, amazing.
So this is like the next stage.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I loved I saw you on season 1, and it was amazing to see you what it was as you took it on, and just incredible. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of how it's developed. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much again.
Pleasure.
It's been absolutely beautiful, and yeah, I look forward to hopefully speaking to you and hopefully meeting you in person as well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Nurtured by Nature podcast. I truly hope this conversation has brought some hope and inspiration into your life. I would love to have these messages ripple out across the world. So if you can, please share this episode with your friends, leave a review on your favourite podcast player, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I would love to hear from you, so please feel free to connect with me on the links provided in the podcast description. But most importantly, thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. But don't forget to simply get out there and enjoy the natural world.